Yeah, let's take a look at these some of these gazillionaires. Here's the pattern that we've seen. And look, let's start out. We've got to accept this fact that to the victor go the spoils. Donald Trump wins the Electoral College. He will be the next president of the United States. He gets to pick whomever the hell he wants in his cabinet. Okay? I do not doubt that. Do not question that for a second. They are subject to Senate confirmation, of course, so it just can't be anybody. But we have to accept the fact that when Trump wins, and we lose, then we're not going to be happy with his cabinet picks in general. But I never thought they'd be this bad, honest. Because what the pattern that we've seen with Donald Trump is, he is taking every single agency, and I think there's been a deliberate effort on the part of the Trump team and Trump himself to take a look at every single agency and say, okay, what is the mission of this department or this agency? What is its historic mission? What has it tried to accomplish for decades under Republican and Democratic presidents? What is the essence of this agency? And then he's appointed the person to head that agency who is the exact opposite of what they're supposed to do. It's a wrecking ball. It's absolutely the wrecking ball that he has taken to every one of these agencies. And we've seen it now, and this pattern continues. So we saw it, I think, first with Tom Price, congressman from Georgia. Okay, he is the leading enemy of the Affordable Care Act, the leading enemy of universal health care, so you appoint him to head HHS. All right? Then you get education. Betsy DeVos is the leading enemy of public schools. She thinks public schools ought to be wiped out, just replace them with charter schools or homeschooling or religious schools and give all the money to them. No public schools. Doesn't matter. And you take her and you name her the Secretary of Education. Here we go. Ben Carson? Okay. Ben Carson, the enemy of public housing. He said it's no good. It makes people dependent on the government. It's been a total failure. Affordable housing. No. Ben Carson against it. You take him and you make him the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. It goes on. Last week we talked about this one. Okay. What's the EPA all about, right? Protecting the environment, protecting public health. Created by Richard Nixon, Republican, because at one time even Republicans thought the environment was worth protecting.
Weird, right?
Kind of weird, yeah. So today you get a guy who is the exact enemy of EPA, who thinks EPA ought to be shut down, who is a climate change denier, who is the number one lobbyist and friend of the fossil fuel industry, as Attorney General of Oklahoma, a guy named Scott Pruitt, and you put him in charge of EPA to shut it down. All right? You get the point, right? I mean, every hen house now has a fox in charge of it. All right.
And one of the biggest problems with this, by the way, is that Trump has already indicated that he doesn't have much interest in actually,
running the government.
Well,
first, he's going to be too busy producing The Celebrity Apprentice.
That's right. I mean, because
Arnold Schwarzenegger needs some help. And so,
he's got a really big title.
No. We're not joking. He is still going to continue with his name on as a producer, executive producer of The Celebrity Apprentice.
And which is crazy. And now that he's sort of indicated that he has no real interest in running the government or getting into these departments, these people are going to have free reign.
Yeah.
These cabinet leaders are going to be able to do whatever they want with those departments.
Hey, if he's not going to be going to daily intelligence briefings, he's not going to be talking to these cabinet members every day. Right.
No way.
All right. But anyhow, the list continues. We're just building up. So the latest we haven't had a chance to talk about yet is Department of Labor. Again, what's the Secretary of Labor? What's the Department of Labor all about? It is about fighting for American workers. It's about standing up for American workers and their rights and their opportunities and their ability to get a good job at a good living wage. So, and that's sort of exemplified today by the fast food workers, right, who have started this whole movement saying, wait a minute, guys, $7.25, you can't make a living on $7.25. You're still in poverty at $7.25. At least, at a bare minimum, the minimum wage ought to be $15. And that's created this whole fast food movement. So, again, per Donald Trump's pattern, what do? You take the head of a fast food chain, Andrew Puzner, head of Hardee's, and you put him in charge of the Department of Labor. The guy who is anti-working men and women, whether they're union members or not. He's certainly anti-union. So here's Andrew Puzner. By the way, he believes there should be no minimum wage. He doesn't pay the minimum wage. He doesn't believe that workers ought to have paid sick leave. He thinks that President Obama's new rules on overtime, he has said all this, his new rules on overtime are anti-business. He wants to undo those. He's also, by the way, a climate change denier. So the idea of any new jobs in clean energy, building solar panels or whatever, or wind, no, he's not going to be for that at all. He is also totally for automation. He has said, in fact, about machines and why they're better. Yeah. Why machines are better than human beings on the assembly line. He says because machines are, quote, always polite. They always upsell. They never take a vacation. They never show up late. There's never a slip and fall or an age, sex, or race discrimination case. So for all of those reasons, I'd rather have machines than people doing the jobs. This is a guy that Donald Trump has named Secretary of Labor, anti-working men and women.
We've spent so much time talking about the working class voters and how they weren't served very well in this election and how a lot of them went to Donald Trump. The fight for 15, the minimum wage fight between fast food workers and trying to get that fair wage has been the most visible rift between those voters and the rest of America. Yeah. And he just put somebody in charge who is so against it.
And your point, all of these things, these are the programs that help working families in Michigan, in Pennsylvania, in Wisconsin. Those working men and women, white middle class workers who voted for Donald Trump, he has just stabbed them in the back.
Yeah.
All these things, all these programs they depend on, they want, they need, right, are all on the chopping block because he put the enemy of working class Americans in as Secretary of Labor. And now you get to Mr. Tillerson as Secretary of State. I want to be sure, I'm just blanking on his, I want to be sure on, it is Rex. I said Rex, I want to be sure. Rex Tillerson. Yeah. So you take a guy who is Vladimir Putin's best friend. Now, we're not at war with Russia, but you've got to say our relations with Russia are about as bad as they have been in the last 20 years, for sure, right? And this is Russia who seized Crimea, who still has troops in eastern Ukraine, and who has joined forces with our enemy, the President Assad of Syria. And as Secretary of State, Donald Trump is probably going to announce today the head of ExxonMobil, Rex Tillerson, will be the new Secretary of State, who is Vladimir Putin's best friend. And Donald Trump says, oh, of course, we don't need a diplomat. What we need is a real businessman.
To me, a great advantage is he knows many of the players, and he knows them well. He does massive deals in Russia. He does massive deals for the company, not for himself, for the company.
He's the Secretary of State.
No, but I have tremendous respect for him. He's a world-class player.
I'm trying to get you to say
But I have others. I know you are.
Yeah, there is. Tremendous respect. Because he's done what kind of deals has he done, right? He's done deals to basically pollute the environment and to drill for oil and produce oil and gas, more deals than anybody else in Russia and all around the world. But, even Claire McCaskill made this point, too. There's a difference between doing business deals and
diplomacy.
Yes. And negotiating serious agreements with these governments. Do we have Claire McCaskill there, Jamie? Where she said that.
For Vladimir Putin, who is a thug and a bully and has the friends around the globe that we don't want to be friends with, for him to be trying to impact our elections, he has to be held accountable.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't her that said that. Obviously, that wasn't quote. But anyhow, she did somebody made the point. There's a big difference. But so I guess the point I'm trying to make is that this cabinet is worse than we ever thought it would be. It is against everything we believe in, everything we stand for, and everything we have gained in this country over the last 50 years. And it's all now on the chopping block because Donald Trump has brought in the wrecking ball, and one by one he's putting people in these positions in charge of each agency whose primary mission is to destroy them and to undo everything that's been accomplished.